said from the previous video I'll be giving you, so you get to know the overview of the HTML first and then CSS, following, and then database as well. So in this video or in this tutorial, what we are going to do is to just do a recap or go through everything we have done in HTML. And this video is going to basically summarize everything that we have done for you. I'm going to summarize everything from forms to tags to whatever. I will summarize everything in a nice way. So if you follow through, you will be able to, find your way out. Now, I have told you that every file has its own file extension. And so if you are working with HTML, it's what? .html. If it is php.php, if it is other text file like notepad, is .txt like this one. So now I'll create my file, which is the one we are going to use to do the summary, and I'm going to call it index.html, and I know that one you are conversant with it. So I'll just go ahead, click on this, and I'll now create my index.html. Now, everything we have learned so far, I'm going to put it into this video. I will try my best though to cover majority, and so follow through. Now, I told you HTML is just the scripting side, or it's just for the front end that you are working in, but it doesn't do any beautification, or it doesn't have anything to do with effect or functionalities. At the end of the day, it's just a blogging or a scripting thing that you are going to be doing. I told you, if you want to get the HTML structure, you use the shift and then the exclamation mark, you hit on enter key, and then you get your HTML structure. Now, everything that we are going to do on our web page is going to be within this block. It's going to be within this block. Okay. Now we have our title here, we have our head here, we have our body, and we have the HTML itself. And so every tag has an opening and then a closing. We have done that already, but just a way of recap. Now in our heading tag, which is this one, and then this one opens it and this one closes it. For you to see a closing and then an opening tag, it is identified by the / in the last tag like this. Okay, so if you look at the body is not having any /, but then the closing is having, meaning this is a closing tag. We also have some tags that are empty tags, and we have learned all of those tags. Now inside of the head we have the title, and the title is what displays in your browser. So I can just say recap, or let me say review of HTML tutorials. So I can just do this, review of HTML tutorial. This means that this is what is going to display inside of my browser when I open the web. Now we go straight to the body. Anything you want to do with regards to your coding, your scripting, whatever, is supposed to be inside of the body. Okay, so the forms, the tables, the whatever, the list, everything is supposed to be inside of the body. Now we also made mention of commenting. Commenting are very, very important because it makes you remember where you have gotten to. And to get your comment structure, I told you it's control plus the / key, control plus the / key. And anything that is in between these two tags is seen as comment, and your code doesn't take it into consideration when it is being executed. So I can say this video is all about summarizing HTML. All right, this video is all about summarizing HTML. Okay, so now this comment will not be taken into consideration when the code is being executed. Let's go on straight away to what we have done so far in HTML. Anything I mention, I will do one practice. Anything I mention, I will do one practice. First, we did HTML heading tags. So I'll just go ahead and put my comment and say HTML heading tags. We did HTML heading tags, and we said before you'll be able to get the heading tag, we have 1 up to 6, 1 being the least, highest, 6 being the least. Okay, so if you want to do that, just press H1 like this. You can say this is heading 1 in that order. then you go to, if you want to do heading 2, like that. I won't be doing everything because we have gone through it, just a review. So you can say this is heading 2. Okay, now if you want to see how it looks, you just go to your browser and then open it up. So I'll quickly go to the folder where this work is. So CSM 377, sorry. So CSM 377. I'll open that folder and then open the index.html file. Okay, open the index.html file. Hold on once it's loading. So index.html file, I'll double click to open it up, and this is what I have done so far. So if you can see, here we have index.html, index.html, but then I was expecting that this place takes the form of HTML tutorials or something like that. So I'll go straight to my code and check if I was saving the file, so just go here, click on file, so save it. So after saving, I'll go back and then refresh. So after saving, I'll go back and refresh. So you can see I have it now here. So the topic or the title is review of HTML tutorials, and this is heading 1, this is heading 2. Okay, so now we move all the way from heading tags to another thing. Remember, we are just doing a recap of all we have learned in HTML. In the next video, I'll give you what it entails when it talks about CSS, beautifying your work. Okay, now after heading tags, I'll just move you to let me see, we did HTML div. So HTML div is all about creating divisions or sections. Okay, so if you want to create a div, you just do your div like this, hit on the enter, and you have your div created. These are supposed to have a height and width, so I can just say width, sorry, style, and say width. Then I'll give my width as, let's say, 100 px, and give height. So height, this, let's say, um, 20 px. For you to be able to identify that a div has been created on the browser, because by default it is going to be white, you have to give it a background color, of which we have done that. So I can say aqua, like this. Now I'll go to the browser, refresh, and I'll see my div is created. Okay, so there's nothing on it, so I have to save. Remember to save your work before you refresh the browser. So this is the div that we created. So after creating the div, you can have anything, whatever you want inside of that particular div. I've not saved, it will not reflect, so I'll just save it. All right, you see, so now the width and the width of the div is shorter than that of my text, so I can increase it. That one depends on what you are doing. Okay, that one depends on what you are doing, but basically that is how to create a width and a height in a div. Okay, so you can even increase the height to, let's say, 50, since we have increased the uh, width, like this. Okay, now we will move all the way from creating of div to tables. We also did tables. From here we will come to forms. We also did tables, and then tables are basically, let me put a comment, tables or HTML tables. Okay, HTML tables. And we mentioned that if you want to create a table, you are supposed to have this thing in mind, Microsoft Excel in mind, that a table is formed when it's a column and a row intersect. When a column and a row intersect, a table is formed. Okay, so before you can have, let's say, table to take records of people, there must be a column and rows. Now if you want to create a table, first and foremost, you start creating the table with the table tag like this. Now you open the table tag and this is what you get. Now we have table row, table head, and table data. We have explained all this, but listen. Table row is the row that will intersect with a column, which is the TD, to form a record. So table row, for instance, we can say in between this table row, we will have our table head like this, and then we can say name. Okay, now we can have another table row. This means I'm going to have only three rows. Okay, three rows. Table row, and we can say gender. No, sorry. After the table header, and then say gender. Okay, now from here, I can, let me just break this one down and this one to down. Okay, from here, I can have another table row and then say table head and say phone. Okay, now I'll save this. If I save this and refresh the browser, this is what is going to happen. Okay, I have table name, table, the role is name, gender, and phone, but it's not displaying as I want. Okay, so first you have your table row, it is created. We have table head, it is also created. We have table data, it is also created. But in order to um, say enter data, we are going to use what we call table data. Table data. Okay, so we can have table head, table data, and then table row. Okay, so if you want the headings, let's say the headings all to be in one row, then you don't have to break it like I have done. So we can come to the same table row that we have here and say gender. Then we do another one and say table head and say phone. With this, all the information that you have entered is going to be inside of that first row. Inside of that first row, we are not expecting to see it, you see, so we have it in a horizontal way. But if you break it down, it's going to be in a different rows. So now if you look at it, we have our table name, gender, and then phone. If you want records to be under each of them, then you are now going to specify the table data. So if you look at the first row here, I can say TD and I'll say name Daniel. Okay, Daniel. If I want to put another record inside of this gender, I will now come and say gender TD and put, let's say, male. Now it's left with one column that is supposed to be filled. So I will just say TR and put there TD and say phone 0000. I will save this and you see that each of the records I have entered will fall under um, individual. They were supposed to fall under individual what column names, but I see how it is. It means we are supposed to make sure that the row that we are talking about, for instance, the whole of this row is taking all the information. So if you look at this row that is taking Daniel, that is where we are supposed to fix. Do you understand? We are supposed to fix this informations or the table data informations or so that it caters for only that particular row. Do you understand? Pay attention. All right. So if you do it like this, you see it's following each column header names. So if you clear this row from here and you want to add another information, the only thing is we declare the row, let's say table row, and you open it up. How many columns are we having? 3. So we can say table data 1, then we can now come and say table data 2, then we can now come and say table data 3. Okay, The first one is what? Name. We can say Anthony. The second one is what? Gender. We can say male. The third one is what? Phone. We can say 003. At this point, this row is going to keep only this information for name, gender, and phone, and it is going to be row 2 inside of our table. You can see that. You can see that. Now we have a property for table. You can see all that we have done so far. There's no what's the name, border by the table. So we have a property for the table that is say border, and we can say, let's say, 5 pesos. Okay, 5 pesos. You save and then you refresh and see what will happen. So you can see we have border by the table. If 5 pesos is too much for you, you can reduce it to, let's say, 2 or 3. Okay, since the video is getting longer, I'll pause it here and upload it and upload it for you, so that in our next video we go through forms, HTML forms. Thank you, and then stay to this tutorial and you'll be okay with everything.